Hello and welcome back to Always Ours, Chapter 16, Implosion Imminent. Hisashi Yamada felt nothing but ash where his usual optimism should have been. He'd done this. Not just the tea date, not just the conspiratorial grin when he'd covered Splinter's class and shooed him out the door with a laugh. It was everything before that. The months of gentle nudging, of reassurance, of trust. He'd been the first person Splinter tolerated in his space. The first voice Splinter listened to when the world felt too sharp, too loud. Hisashi had seen that as something precious, proof that he mattered, that he was helping. He remembered saying it, too casually, too confidently. "You can trust Netsu. He's the only one who can really understand you, truly, fully." At the time, Splinter had gone still, whiskers twitching, eyes soft with something like relief. Now that memory made Hisashi's stomach twist. Because that line hadn't been comforting, it had been a verdict. He'd taken a feral, half-wild creature the world already treated like a problem and handed it over to someone with legal authority, resources, and a smile sharp enough to hide a collar. He'd walked his friend from one kind of cage straight into another. Hisashi pressed his fist into the wall of his classroom, careful, controlled, desperate for something to hurt where he could see it. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I thought I was helping." And somewhere deep down, the most horrible truth settled in. If Splinter hadn't trusted him first, none of this would have worked. Shoto Ozawa slept even less than usual. The sleeping bag in his office floor felt like a form of penance. The ceiling pressed down like a judgment. Homeroom had always drained him. Not tired, emptied. Like something in him had been siphoned off day by day until there was nothing left but routine and resentment. When Splinter had taken over, Aizawa hadn't questioned it. He'd been grateful. Finally, someone else to stand in the blast radius. Now that someone carved help into conference tables with shaking claws. Now that someone blinked in desperation instead of signals. Aizawa had noticed Netsu's shift. He wasn't blind. He'd tested it too, quietly activating erasure, waiting for something he couldn't grab onto. Nothing. And he'd let it go because Splinter said yes, because the proof was thin, because it was easier not to look too closely. He stared at the ceiling, jaw tight. "You were supposed to make my job easier," he muttered. The words curdled. USJ, Stain, Hosu. Each time, Splinter had been there, calm, steady, absorbing chaos like it was his job, taking hits Aizawa used to take, standing between the kids and the fire with a gentleness Aizawa had never had the patience for. Homeroom had hollowed him out. Splinter had stepped into the same hole and poured himself into it, and now the world was chewing him up for it. Aizawa squeezed his eyes shut. This wasn't just negligence. This was cowardice. He hadn't wanted to help. He'd wanted out. He'd gotten it, but at what cost? They sat, journal clutched too tightly in hands that didn't feel entirely solid. They blinked. The clock on the wall jumped forward an hour. The notebook lay closed in their lap. They don't remember closing it. Their breath caught. They flipped pages frantically. Ink skipped in places. Sentence half there. Letters washed thin like they'd been left in the rain. Yesterday's entry still existed, but barely. "I get credit for helping at Hosu." Fainter now. Their name was gone. All that remained was help. Cold spread through their chest. They hadn't stopped writing, had they? They looked at their hands. For a heartbeat, light passed through them wrong, edges blurring, skin translucent. Panic surged. They scribbled, hard enough to tear people. "I exist here. Classmates, remember me." The room snapped back into focus. Voices sharpened. Weight returned to their fingers. Relief hit, then horror. What was wrong with their quirk? What was wrong with them? They'd stopped writing, and they were starting to stop existing. They couldn't allow themselves to just be forgotten. They wouldn't be, even if it cost someone else everything, because they had to matter. They had to write themselves in. If they didn't, what would be the result? They were scared, but not too scared to write. Journal entry number 3. Everyone keeps forgetting me. My quirk. I think something is wrong with it. Or wrong with me? But if I stop, then I think I will fade permanently, so I won't allow that. Make it right. Make me right. Make me unerasable. Please. The journal trembled in their hands. They wanted to help. They'd wanted to matter. And now they couldn't tell where the power ended and they began, or whether there had ever been a difference. Nedzo's plans were meticulous. The tailor's shop first, quiet, private, exclusive. As fabric was measured and adjusted, a flicker of old discomfort surfaced. Memory of hands choosing his appearance for him, deciding what he should be, how he should look. It passed quickly, because Splinter looked so good like this. At the groomer's, instruments glinted under soft lights. For half a second, Nedzo's breath hitched. Needles, restraints, voices saying, "Hold still!" He smiled instead. Splinter would adjust. He had. At the rooftop restaurant, city lights glittered below like offerings. This was important. This was right. The first time someone had fed Nedzu as a person, not a specimen, had been a turning point. He wanted to give that to Splinter, to recreate it perfectly, to make it mean what it had meant for him. Splinter sat across from him, ears pinned flat, claws shredding the tablecloth inch by inch. Nedzu. A corrective pulse from the collar. Tiny, necessary. Nedzu poured tea with steady pause. "This keeps you safe," he said gently. "From yourself." For a heartbeat, just one, he saw it. Splinter's rigid stillness, the forced compliance, the way his body screamed no while his mouth said yes. A reflection, muzzled, restrained, told, "This is for your own good." All the needles went in. Nedzu blinked. The image vanished. He smiled again. "I'm different," he told himself. "This is love." And somewhere beneath the denial, the inevitable tightened its grip. And that's the end of the chapter.